Hello, everybody. Welcome to the garage for another Sunday with Andy the Gabby Cabby. You probably noticed right at the beginning there, I had a sad grin on my face. It's like this. That's because I pushed the damn button on the laptop and it didn't do what I told it to do. And I had to push it again, but never you mind. That's what you get, technical boo-boos with a live stream. So first of all, let's have a look. See who's in the house. Let's say a quick hello to a few peeps, and then we'll get on with it. There's a lot of names here, most of which are regulars, and a few newbies as well. Minge Pump, Gary Thornbury, they're good mums. There's somebody here that said they were new. I want to find them. Jason Heath, hello to you. Chris Card, Blood Nose, my moderator in the background. Thank you very much, Blood. As always, appreciate the support. Lord Jim Dandy, and I love your joke about the golf, which we will come to in a minute. Pete, Declan, Margaret, good to see you. Collie Dog. Yes, Sophia. Hello, evening. I'm a newbie. Well, welcome, Sophia. I think I said your name the second time correctly. And Collie Dog, another golf joke. John Webb, Cosmic Water, Julie Baldwin, Factual Breakdown, Russell, is it Raleigh boy? Good to see you, Jody. Yes, we've got all these people, Jean-Marc as well, and more of you coming in. So wonderful, everybody. If you haven't done so and you have just arrived, please hit the thumbs up button because that is vitally important. It helps the YouTube algorithm spread this live stream all round everywhere. Now, before I came online, and in keeping with all the golf-related jokes, there was a bit of news about our dear Mr. Trump across the pond. Look what happened again. Trump was in good spirits after the shots. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said, yes, somebody decided to let off a firearm in his vicinity again. Safe after gunshots were heard outside his Florida base, the former president campaign team has said in an urgent statement issued on Sunday. Trump's campaign communications chief Steve Shung said President Trump is safe following gunshots in his vicinity. No further details at this time. Now, what appears to be the case, and there's more information coming out, so this is subject to change. According to CNN, they thought that the gunshots were just a dispute somewhere nearby and they just cleared him out as a precaution. But CNN are saying that there may be a little bit more to it. It's still raw, it's still new, it's still subject to change. So we will find that out in due course. I'm sure we will. What else have we got here? Trump has been campaigning in Las Vegas on Friday night before flying to Palm Beach in Florida, the location of his Mar-a-Lago Club and Golf Resort, on Sunday, according to the Wall Street Journal. Two people exchanged gunfire outside the golf course, according to US media, which reported that the shooters were targeting each other. Now, that was the initial report, and then I read different a bit later on. So we'll have to see what's said. But apparently he was just cleared out of there as a precaution, and he's safe. Law enforcement sources said the Secret Service responded to the gunfire, which comes almost exactly 2 months after he was injured in an attempt in Pennsylvania, while Trump's son claimed an AK-47 was discovered in the bushes, per local law enforcement. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said he'd spoken to the former president after the gunshots, added he was in good spirits. And there was also a bit on social media as well. Now, there's what happened in Pennsylvania. And in my opinion, and of course it literally is just my opinion, I wonder if there's going to be more attempts like this or there's going to be more problems because at the end of the day, he's a problem to the establishment, isn't he? Not that I'm inferring anything, not that I'm saying anything, but it seems to be the case, doesn't it? We'll have to see how that goes. Anyway, back over to our side of the pond. Lee Foster is correct. I think I did see that comment, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Anyway, cheers, everybody. I've got a beer on. It's one of those nights. Come and have a chat with you lovely people and have a wee bit of grog as well. Keir Starmer. Can I have a 1 in the chat if you're sick of it already? And a 2 if you're not. A 1 in the chat if you're sick of it already, and a 2 if you're not. Cosmic War Toad is just a pint of Stella. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Well, there you go. And that's off 185 people in the chat. And yeah, Albatross Pie. 1 + 1 + 1. Yeah. What can I say? What can I say? Well, another thing has come out. I know I think my Atusi covered this earlier, and somebody emailed this to me about receiving gifts off of people, namely rich donors. Hi, Mum. Hope you're all right and good to see you there. Yeah, Blood Nose. They've pulled the strength down a little bit. If you get it out of bottles, they've weakened it a little bit. But yeah, you're right. It was strong back in the day. Let's have a look at this. To do with Sir Keir of Starmer. Bless his cotton socks. It's more specifically to do with his wife. Sir Keir Starmer faces investigation over possible breach of parliamentary rules after Labour donor pays for wife's clothes. Oh, look at them. A Labour peer paid for a personal shopper, clothes and alterations for Lady Starmer, both before and after the Labour leader became Prime Minister in July, according to the Sunday Times. But Labour said they've contacted authorities over the matter. Now, whenever anybody, and this is my understanding of it, correct me if I'm wrong, whenever anybody in Parliament has any kind of external interest, business or otherwise, they have to declare it. If they've received monies or benefits in kind from any external sources, they have to declare it for complete transparency. No? I thought that was the case. Well, it appears that this has slipped through the net. And when we've got this thing with the pensioners and what's happening with them, it does leave a bit of a sore taste in the back of the throat. Here we go. He's facing an investigation over a possible breach of parliamentary rules after failing to declare that some of his wife's high-end clothes were bought for her by his biggest personal donor, Lord Ali. The Labour peer paid for a personal shopper, clothes and alterations for Lady Victoria Starmer, reportedly both before and after the Labour leader became Prime Minister in July. This year, Sir Keir has received and disclosed nearly £19,000 worth of work clothes. £19,000 worth. Whoa. And several pairs of glasses from Lord Ali, the former chairman of online fashion retailer ASOS, the Times reports. In addition, the peer, whose personal wealth is estimated at 200 million, spent 20,000 on accommodation for the now Prime Minister during the election, and a similar sum on private office costs, which was also disclosed. So it looks like most of it has been. It's just these items of clothing. A Number 10 spokesman told Sky News it was an oversight and it's been corrected after it sought advice from the authorities on coming to office. They added, "We believe we've been compliant. However, following further interrogation this month, we've declared further items." The Tories called for a full investigation. Well, they would. They'll want to see blood over anything, wouldn't they? A Conservative Party spokesman said it's taken just 10 weeks for Keir Starmer to face an investigation for his conduct. After facing allegations of cronyism and his now apparent serious breaches of parliamentary rules, there must be a full investigation. Now, what I tend to have a problem with all of this is the fact that they're taking the piss with our money and it doesn't seem to faze them. You know, it's a case of, oh, after further investigation, we thought we'd better have a look at this. Yes, we better declare this now because we didn't think we had to before. Now, is this a case of I've been caught out, so I'd better say everything I've got, or is this something else? I wonder. I have to see. I wonder if he bought her underwear. Yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it, Mick? Makes you wonder. Good to see you, by the way. Well, it appears that the Conservatives are not the only ones to have a bit of a pop at the fella. It appears that it's coming from his own ranks as well, namely Rosie Duffield. We have a look here at this. Now, when they start squabbling amongst themselves, you've got to think, very tasty, very, very tasty. So Labour MP Rosie Duffield has lashed out at the Prime Minister over his failure to declare that a multi-millionaire party donor bought clothes for his wife. Lord Wahid Ali, a Labour peer since '98, had covered the cost of a personal shopper, dresses and clothes alterations for Lady Victoria Starmer. The gifts were not initially declared. Yes, we had all that from the previous article. Keir Starmer faces calls for a full investigation. Blah. Alongside the Conservative criticism, Starmer has come under fire from within his own party. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This morning, outspoken Labour MP Rosie Duffield took a series of swipes at the PM on social media in response to the article. Replying to a post online, Duffield jabbed sarcastically, "Change." Now, Labour run its 2024 election campaign under the one-word slogan of change, vowing to clean up politics and restore trust in politicians. Then the Canterbury MP began engaging with members of the public, and you can see, there's Rosie Duffield there, some screen dumps, and you can see some of her interactions where she's basically saying effectively what everybody else is thinking. Now, I've done a video that's going to come out tomorrow. Well, it's on my phone. I've got to record it and compile it yet. And it's all about how they've maneuvered us into this position of resentment, how they've maneuvered us into this position of mistrust, doom, gloom, and whatever's going to happen next. You know, you've got those on the right, you've got those on the left, and we all believe what we want to believe. And never the twain shall meet. We end up arguing. Yet we have a common enemy, don't we? We have a common problem. It's them in Westminster. So why are all these different people that have invested interests in wanting the best for our country at the end of the day arguing over what's best for our country? It's got to stop. We have to unite. We have to get together and realise that we can change it. Otherwise, they're going to ride roughshod and take the piss out of us for years, like the articles I've just read. And it wouldn't surprise me if you didn't see a bit more of that online, actually. Really, it would not surprise me. And, you know, I'm privy to a few things that cross my path every now and again. We'll have to see what happens. If you're just joining us, got 263 people in the live this evening. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Please, thumbs up. It helps the algorithm spread everything around. 103 thumbs up. How about 200? Thank you, Factual Breakdown, for that prompt. I appreciate it. And if you are new here and you're just tuning in for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. Very much appreciated. And we are 101,000 subscribers. I actually passed 100,000 last Sunday in our live, and I was quite taken aback. And oh my God. And it's gone up 1,000 in a week. So it's really, really something. I'm really ever so pleased. And when I get that play button thingy and everything else, I'll show you. And it's really nice to get to that point and you haven't cheated, you haven't stolen, you haven't done anything out of the ordinary. You've just worked your ass off and eventually you get there. So it really is very satisfying. At the end of the day, that's the only way to do it. One of the things that I want to do with this channel as well is more interviews with people. Heard about the Trump second assassination attempt, Black Blake 7. I covered that just at the beginning of this live stream. If you're talking about around the golf course, which came out just a very short time ago, and there's a couple of conflicting things already. There's a couple of conflicting things, but we'll see what comes out in the wash, as they say. But yeah, what I want to do with this channel is some more interviews with people. You know, stories, people in positions of influence, or people with knowledge about things that can help. For example, I've been approached by 3 individuals, no, actually 4, relating to the child maintenance service. Now, this is something that I've not touched on for quite a considerable amount of time. And I was getting a couple of people on here with their stories. Paz was one of them, actually. You can go and watch it in the live section of this channel, where I try and bring the stories to the fore about what the child maintenance service has put these parents through. No, I say parents and not dads. The consequences of which, and trying to pull out some of the malpractices involved. And there's a couple of others in the pipeline who want to come on and do the same thing. Jean-Marc, do a live stream with one of your subscribers. I do have the ability to, well, pull in, I think it's up to 10 people in the chat. And, you know, that is something that's feasible we could look at. I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, actually. It was a New Year's Eve. And what happened was, I think I actually ended up with about 10 people in the chat, and they ended up talking over one another. So it was really, really something. You haven't purchased 100,000 subs, not once, but right. Factual breakdown. Yeah, it's just completely counterproductive. If as a YouTuber, if you're going to buy subs, don't bother, because there's a very basic calculation involved here. If you look at the number of subscribers somebody has, if they know what they're doing with thumbnails and videos and titles and everything else, yes, you get the occasional bum video, but if a YouTuber knows what they're doing, there is a ratio of views to subscribers. And if somebody's cheated, then it's very obvious, because you're not getting that correct ratio of views to the number of subscribers that you have. The problem is when you buy subs off of these bot farms, or whatever you want to call them, a lot of them are dead accounts, and you won't get any interaction with any subscribers at all. And in effect, you end up talking to fresh air, and it's not worth your time. It's false economy, and people do it, and it's awful, because it's bad for everyone else. It's bad for everyone else. Now, I get emails all of the time as well from people with bits of information to do with different subjects. So if anybody wants anything specifically covering, don't bother about Instagram and all that sort of thing. Please try and email me if you can, and we'll go from there. Sadly, a friend of mine hung himself because of child maintenance. It really needs sorted. I know. I mean, one of the people I've been approached by, apparently, I'm not sure if I read it right, but they tried to throw themselves out of a bedroom window after the child maintenance service tried to take a load of money out of their account. It's not great. Yeah, there's a couple of things here. 10 to 15 subscribers, 10 to 15% subscriber watch, and between 10 and 20% subscribers to viewers is where most people are. Yeah, that's the dead giveaway. I mean, in my mind, I thought it was about 15%. Now, YouTube have a rating system. You'll only know this if you're a creator, because you go into the YouTube studio, And where you see your video stats, it will give you a rating from 1 to 10. If it's a 10, it's a dud. You've done something very wrong with either the thumbnail, the title, or both. If it's further up the scale, then you're doing okay. Most of mine usually get 3s, 4s, and 5s now, and occasionally I get a 1 hit pay dirt, as it says, and it's great. It really is great, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy everything else. It's absolutely wonderful. Right, what I'm going to do is start having a look at what you've got to say, because Bloodnose has been doing a good job of stacking the comments up. So let's see what everybody's got to say. How can a channel have 350,000 subs, let's say, and not be pulling close to that per video? What we'll be talking about? Well, it's just so obvious. YouTube is a game of patience. You know, it'll happen in one or two ways, or a combination of the two. Possibly for years, you will end up talking and talking and talking to not very many people. But what you end up doing is learning by every channel. You learn by every video, and you think, oh, maybe I need to do that bit, maybe. And what you're doing the whole time is building a community who start talking about you, and then sharing your ideas with other people and bringing it, and then they start talking to you, and it's just consistent hard work. And what helps as well, which was lucky enough to happen to me, I got a lucky break, and it did give me a big subscriber boost at the time, and then I just built it from there. 4 years it took me to do this. Some take less, some take more. It just depends on the subject, but there's no substitute for hard work. And if you cheat, you're only fooling yourself. Anyway, let's have a look. End of the lecture. Cosmic, I've got another joke. Why is it wrong to say women belong in the kitchen? Because they can't clean the rest of it. Did you tell that last week, or have you been talking to that Lord Jim Dandy again? That sounds like something he'd say. There's a few of those old jokes kicking around, isn't there, involving kitchen sinks and stuff. President Trump was on a golf course at West Palm Beach, and some nut had an AK-47, allegedly fired shots, and the Secret Service shot back. Yeah, I did see a snippet of Donald Trump's son saying that AK-47 was found in the bushes after the actual event. So, Richard, Andy, well done on the 100,000. Great to see it at 101,000 now. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate the comment and the support as well. It was, crazy. We passed 100,000 last Sunday, and it's done another 1,000 in a week. Unbelievable. And I'm just trying to talk about what's mattering to people at the moment. That's all I'm doing. And I found a wonderful comment earlier. They said, I'm a taxi driver. Jeff Buys Cars wanted to do videos about cars. Somebody wanted to do videos about something. Oh, Paul Thorpe wanted to do videos about his watches, and somebody wanted to do. And we've all been doing videos about what's going on in the world. We've just kind of all. It says it all, doesn't it? Julie, I see the Labour MPs are all getting thrown out of the pubs. Everyone's shouting, "You're not welcome here." That's Keir Starmer starting a trend, isn't it? Or Clarkson. He might have started this batch. Cornfrog, I think TTK is a little afraid of pensioners' memories. We remember the better times. I'm going to see if I can find something I saw earlier. And this really illustrates what two-faced, horrible cretin, to be honest with you. I'll see if I can find it. It really does illustrate this whole thing. Latest. I even spelt Keir Starmer wrong. No, I think there's been too many posts since. But it was It was a recording of a sit down he did during the general election where he, effectively said that pensioners are hard done by and they shouldn't be allowed to be left without heating and food and everything else, that kind of regular thing, and implied that he would look after them if he got into power. Straight away, winter fuel payment gone. Possibility, the 25% single person's discount gone for the council tax. Bus passes gone, all within a matter of weeks. And it just shows that they will do and say anything to get into power and screw us all over once they're in. You can't make it up. Somebody said, it's actually Julie Baldwin, I'll mention her with this. If they get into power and they don't do what they say they're going to do, then they need to be booted out. It's unlawful. You're in on false pretenses. Piss off and come back when you're going to tell the truth. I'm afraid I agree with that. Has Carol Vorderman got any kids? What? I think she's got a daughter, hasn't she? I know she's mentioned a daughter, but I don't know about any others. I really don't know. I know Katie Hopkins has torn her a new one. 19k, for fuck's sake. That's Primark's total stock. Yes, it's incredible, isn't it? The amount of money. And also, the suits. How much are the suits? How many? Glass, how many? Who's really paying? They say this Lord is, but it really is horrible hypocrisy. Absolutely. R. Perkins, how about we make MP salaries means tested? Somebody said once, didn't they? Put them on minimum wage and see how things would quickly change. Or performance-related pay. That was the other thing. And see how quickly things change. Jody, I'll let you know, Andy, about my forthcoming art exhibition. I was going to try and get your last one, Jody, because you did send me the details, but I really couldn't make it for one reason or another. But please email me, and it'd be good to meet you one day because we've been in communication for quite some time. Lee, didn't he get some stick at Doncaster horse racing today? Yeah, I think he did, didn't he? Well, it wasn't very well received. Wasn't very well received at all. I was down at Southampton today. I went down this morning. I think they had 6 cruise ships in. It was about 5 or 6 in the boat show down there as well. And I had to go to the Queen Elizabeth terminal. I've never seen so many people. And point being, when I was down there, I realised how much news and everything I missed by the time I got back. So I was trying to catch up with everything on here. It's a long old morning and an early start. Kathy, this is the same Lord Alley who was given a free pass to number 10, even though he's not. Well, there you go. There's an example of that cronism that we were just discussing literally a moment or two ago. Mark Cowley, I agree. The government that we have elected is as bad as the old one. They're all as bad as each other. Another thing I said in this video, I come from a conservative voting family. That's my origins. That's where I started. And I voted conservative because I didn't know any different. And then when you grow up, when you leave home and when you get your own life experiences and everything else, you realise, maybe it's not quite the way my mum and dad told me it was, or maybe something's a little bit. So then you start thinking, you start reading, you start looking, and you think, well, maybe this system doesn't work as it really should. And then you realise further that there's so many people all over the country that still buy into this idea of a two-party system, Labour or Conservative. They still buy into the idea of the mainstream media, and they won't listen to outside influences. And it's a bigger place now, a bigger place. I mean, one of the things that I read was that there was talk of Starmer or Starmer's government intimating at banning social media for teenagers. Too late, sunshine. Everyone's got one of these. It'd never work. it would cause mass rebellion. I know Australia's doing it, but if you turn that tap off, then what you're trying to do is use the established media to influence and mold these young minds into what you want them to be, and they'll never be happy with it. They'll always look at, they'll be too curious. It'll never work. You know, they've got to get their head out of cloud cuckoo land. They really have. Tad, David Lammy is still looking for a matching pair of shoes. Last time I saw him, he was in the United States of America wearing a pair of trainers with a suit. I've never understood people who wear trainers with a suit. I mean, any man in the chat right now, sorry, I know this is maybe a sexist remark, but does any man in the chat wear trainers with a suit? Give me a 1 if you do, or a 2 if you don't. I never have and never will. As a late relative of mine says, proper standards must be maintained at all times, and that doesn't involve wearing trainers with a suit. No, Declan says, exactly. Yeah, it's only my birthday suit, Spudman says, but we get the general consensus. So what a disrespectful load of old cobblers that was, huh? You know, smartly dressed. Music for truth. Until working class MPs take the reins in Westminster, will always be treated like scum. This is the thing, isn't it? Years ago, we had a distinct difference. We had Labour, we had Conservative. One was for the working people and, unions, workers' rights and all that sort of thing. The Conservatives were all about, wealth building, lower taxes, higher, and all that sort of thing. And one side was university, Oxford educated types. The other side was drawn from the coal mines and, armies and all that sort of thing. But over time, they've all suddenly melded into this one university educated global, and they're all the same. Was it Blair? Was it around that time? Or was the rot setting in before that? But it's gone downhill. I've not seen any politician that I would call anyway decent in the established area for a long time. All right, we have people coming through now that may change that balance, but, it's not good. Cosmic Autoed, Labour, Tory, Greens, Liberal and Reform don't realise that there's supposed to be a country beneath all their crap. Yes, and people in that country that they're supposed to represent. And an awful lot of the people in the parties that you just mentioned forget that. I have a problem with political parties because when they vote on things for the benefit or detriment of the populace, are they voting within party lines or are they voting with their conscience? It's something I can't get my head around. This is one of the things that changes with regard to the way I feel about them. I'm anti-establishment and I want answers, basically. When I get up for work at 6 a.m, work till 5 for them in Westminster. Yeah, feels like that, doesn't it? I was up at 4 this morning, off down to Southampton. Did drop some people down there, had a bit of brekkie locally, picked some people up. I think it took about 3 hours to get home. A decent morning's money, but then when you take out fuel, there's VAT on that. When you look at your insurance, there'll be tax on that. When you look at possible repairs for the car, there's VAT on the parts. And then you look at what you're left with, where we get taxed to oblivion for this lot. Absolutely taxed to oblivion. Factual breakdown. According to Prolific London, Sakir has a net worth of 7.7 million, which could rise to between 10 and 15 when taking his other revenue streams into account and land he has held since 1996. Yeah, and has he declared all of that? I mean, you've got that lefty mob, haven't you, that was having a crack at Farage, and they put this big banner thing up. I think they've hired this billboard for about 6 months, and every time in the declaration of interest, there's a higher figure from external earnings. They're going to stick it on this board. So fucking what? The guy's earning money from outside sources. Which one of them in there isn't? You tell me. This is the whole left and right again. We need to meld. We need to stick together. Divided we fall. That's the thing, isn't it? John Baldwin. I just can't see it that there would be an authentic second attempt. All I see is Hollywood. There is some. You're obviously referring to the Trump assassination attempt. I mean, I don't believe it for a second, but there is a minority that say that the first time was a glorified publicity stunt. I mean, I don't believe that at all, because people died, but you will always get that, and we'll see what comes out. Banned again. I mean, somebody could have stood there in the streets and gone. You don't know. Banned again. Starmer was at Doncaster races. Everyone shouted, "You wanker!" He got balled and pooed all day. Oh my god, he's not winning any popularity contests. This guy, is he? He really isn't. Tim Robinson, Starmer, going to gamble on the GGs. What he knows of odds and statistics is, well, unbelievable. He won't last very long. I think what he's doing with all of these actions, he's just proving that he hasn't got a clue. He's not got his finger on the pulse of the country, has he? He doesn't know how we're feeling, what we're thinking, or anything. But in his defence, and this is the only thing I'll say, I don't think any of the others do either, do they? Mick Hardstaff, why doesn't Starmer wear his wedding ring lately? I've not noticed that. I mean, this is another thing. And I'm actually genuinely interested in this. This is to the married people in the chat, right? Married men. Who wears their wedding ring all of the time? Give me a 1 if you do. Do you wear your wedding ring all of the time? Give me a 1 if you do. Bloodnose does. There's a few more ones. Yeah. John Baldwin, 2 ex-wives. So no. Be like Jim Davison. He's probably got 10 ex-wives and five former driving licenses, isn't he, or something? Never worn one. But there's a majority, yeah. I mean, I wear mine all the time. Ian, I'm not stupid. I didn't get married. Love it. Yeah, this one was actually my father's when he married my mum, who's probably still in the chat, and bought this in the late 60s. Swapped my wife for a coat, Andy. And he passed this down to me before I got married, and I had it tidied up and restored and everything. Never comes off my finger. I'm a married man, so I wear a wedding ring. Simples. But everybody's different, aren't they? I thought the way they held hands when he walked to Downing Street was super weird, Emily A says. Okay, I'll try and have a look at the pictures. I will try. Lee Foster, is Paz feeling better? I WhatsApp Paz. Oh, God. You know, when he did a video the other day when he said he was on his way to the doctors, he sounded like absolute shit privately. And he did sound better a little bit later. So I don't know whether the doctors have given him something or what, but he was adamant that he wasn't going to go anywhere near the place. But I think his other half talked him into it. But I shall check up on him. R. Perkins, I was screwed by child maintenance too. Wife left me and I gave her 40 grand for the kids. Still screwed me out of wages and ignored that payment. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I hear about the child maintenance service as well, I know this, they interfere in what would otherwise be known as an amicable separation, and they cause trouble because it's for their benefit, because they can get all of this money off of the dad or all of this money off of the mum and then they start charging, percentage on top, penalties on top, and all of a sudden it's out of control before you know it. And it's very vitally important that you need to keep a paper trail, even though when you go to court and try and challenge things under the legislation, a lot of the time they're breaching your right to a fair trial in that they're not allowing you to effectively defend yourself by showing evidence and all this sort of thing. It really is a crooked affair. Really, really, really bad. I mean, I mentioned my mum and dad. I was, 5 years old, I think, when they split up. And I remember they dealt with it between them. There was no such thing as a child maintenance service or anything of that nature. They dealt with it between them. It was all amicable, and it remains so. Yet this child maintenance service just causes so much division, so much aggravation, and it really is an awful thing. Really awful. Traveling Tim, algorithms kick in if you have too many channels to watch, but we're being bubbled into groups, mass groups. Okay. I mean, you get things like your comments get deleted, or you get unsubscribed, or other little things. So that's beautiful, Andy. Thank you, Declan. I appreciate that. So people report strange things to do with YouTube to me all of the time. But the algorithm's a funny thing. As a creator, I'm always trying to get my head around it. Speaking of the algorithm, if you haven't done so already, 333 watching. Could you please hit the like button if you haven't? Get those likes up a little bit. I know we're doing well on them, but I always like as high as possible because it helps, push the chat out to everywhere in the algorithm. And if you haven't done so already and you just tuned in for the first time, please consider subscribing as well. Helps the channel, and it is free, which is the main thing. Will Baker, Andy, a good channel to watch for non-lefty news is the Liberal Hive Mind. Seen that? I know the name, not seen any of the stuff, but I will check it out, Will. I promise. I'll have a look tonight. Nicholas Glanfield, a workmate, has ended up with no private pension due to child maintenance costs. Yeah, this is another thing that will bite people in the arse eventually. I mean, I've mentioned this with regard to the winter fuel payment and everything else. Your plans for retirement have got to start decades before. And if they don't, you're screwed when you get to, old age, because if you have a private pension that's been taken from you because of that matter you've just said, you've got no other income. You're destitute. If you have no private pension, you're reliant on a state pension, which, let's face it, doesn't pay a lot. I do worry for generations of retirees coming up, and I'm one of them. Well, not for 20 years yet, but I'm one of them. Andy, any news on your plaque? Yeah, Lord Jim Dandy. What? I spoke to Paz about it because obviously he passed 100,000 subscribers fairly recently. And what happens after about a week, I think it is, you go in your YouTube studio and you got a button you push, which is verify. And it will go through your channel. Make sure you've not cheated or bought any subscribers or anything like that. Once it's done that, you'll then get presented with another thing where it says, right, what name do you want on your plaque? Is this your address and everything else? And then 2 weeks after that point, you get your thing in the post. I'm still waiting for that initial verify button to appear. I'm hoping if what Paz has told me is anywhere near correct, it won't be too long because I passed that point a week ago. So fingers crossed. But it takes 2 weeks after that for it to come because it comes from the States. But I promise, as soon as it gets done, I'll do a live opening or whatever it is. I won't actually open it until I'm on the camera. I'll do it with all of you. Shout out to Chunky Mark. Steve Cole says, well, hi, Chunky Mark. Shout out for you. Tony Tasker. Well, my wife has excelled herself with her culinary expertise this week. She set off the nave smoke alarm this time. Love it. We had some fun and games of smoke alarms a couple of weeks ago around my dad's house. And I got one in the dining room. The kitchen's over here, and set the smoke alarm off here like that. It's quite amusing, flapping there with a tea towel. Tim Robinson, local West Yorkshire social media site, is posting which local MPs voted to take away money from pensioners. My first thought was hats off to the poster for naming and shaming. There is there was a thing on the BBC website, sorry for swearing, but I will say it, BBC, where there was a list. It was about 65 pages long, but it contained the name of every person that voted, didn't bother to turn up, or abstain of every party. So you could see exactly what they all did, every single one of them. John Baldwin, Andy The Gabby Cabby, between you and the Funky Prepper, I see all I need to. I never stop reading, but the clowns we have are FOS. Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. Yeah, I haven't spoken to Funky Prepper for a long time. I've done a couple of things with him, and I know he did a load of members-only stuff, and I did an interview with him for his members-only thing. He asked me if I could do that. So there's some content out there with my name on it. Jeff Buys Cars would be an excellent link up, but he seems to have a busy life around his channel with the family and kids. The Macmaster might be a bit off direction for you. I like the Penny Bunny. Jeff Buys Cars, I've spoken to him, and I think twice now we were going to try and do a live. Once it fell through because of him, and then the other time it fell through because of me. I think one time he got kind of sidetracked with doing something, and then another time I got sidetracked because I was doing something, and we've never quite made it work. Penny Bunny, I've not really communicated with her. And as for the other one being off track, I'll take your word for it. But I'm always open. Clown World YT did a video featuring me earlier. He's one I've done a YouTube live with in the past, quite a while ago, actually. We have similar viewpoints on a great many things. I'd be up for doing one again with him. I mean, he's doing well. He's on over 50,000 subscribers now. Really growing, really growing. Spudman, he's punishing the pensioners because he knew most of them voted for the Conservatives. I think a fair few older people do in certain areas. I mean, we have where they redraw the boundary lines where I live. They've basically cut my area into two halves. It was all a bit higgledy-piggledy before. And the Conservative MP that won the seat across the other side of town has been stuck fast for about 40 years. No one can shift him. He's Conservative. And a lot of that, I think, is down to the demographic of that area. So, you could be right there. Could be something in it. My local Labour MP, this is Nicholas, was told not to attend a local community event today. Not welcome. Whatever they do, or whatever they decide they want to push through, and let's face it, they debate and everything in Parliament, but with a majority of that size, they can pretty much do what they like, barring a massive rebellion. It's going to get pushed through. And the bad taste is going to get pushed everywhere, all throughout the country. They're going to get told to bugger off. I mean, it's like where I live. There are an awful lot of people, elderly people, who need that winter fuel payment. The BBC put an article on their website the other day, some old codger saying that his winter fuel payment went in the holiday fund. Now, that is a government plant, I think, to try and justify the fact it's been taken off of them all. I think that's bullshit on the BBC's behalf. But, there are a lot of people here that need that winter fuel payment. There's different parts of my area which are probably more deprived than others. And again, there's a lot of elderly that need that winter fuel payment. And we have a Labour MP that voted against that motion to keep it in place for the poorer. of the pensioners. And I do believe it was voted against because it was a Conservative motion. No ifs, no buts. They didn't want to give them any leg room, any upmanship. That's all it was about. Party politics. They're messing with people's lives. You know, they reckon 4,000 could be at risk. And that was the Labour Party's own research. Just shows you, doesn't it? Raleigh, funny enough, was an 8-seater Hackney carriage taxi driver. Won't do any London anymore out of principle. I won't go into London either for the same reason. If I get, I mean, I'm not licensed by London. I'm licensed by another local authority, but I work in all the airports and London as well. But if I get London jobs in now, I will offer it out to one of my other drivers. I won't go myself. I just can't bring myself to go there. I went to Heathrow the other day and I copped a ULEZ fine. Can you believe that? And I've actually written to TfL and I've told them what they can do with that ULEZ fine. So I'll keep you in touch with that. It really is nuts. Alfie Naylor, taking the bus passes away would probably save our old people's lives. My area's buses are nothing but tuk-tuks now. Yeah, really. I can... you know, public transport, if they want us to rely on public transport as a thing, they've got to pull their act together, haven't they? Really. Big G, hi from Northern Ireland, mate. Hello, Big G. Good to see you. And thank you for popping in. Appreciate it. I want to go to Northern Ireland one day because I want to go to that Titanic exhibition thing in Belfast. And my dad served in Northern Ireland in the army, and I know years ago he did express an interest in going back, and if he ever did, I'll go with him. Kill two birds with one stone, but whether he does or not, we'll see what happens. The Ginger Chav has not got a clue about building 1.5 million homes in 5 years. You would need to build a house every 2 minutes. That's 24/7, 365. Absolutely. I had a conversation like that with somebody in my cab, where when you drive back into like my area, there's a town called Birchington, not too far away. And when you come into it, you have to drive up a hill, and you got big cornfields on either side. And there are plans, or there's talk of putting houses on all of that. And Birchington for years, I mean, I grew up in Birchington. It's been a village, just a normal everyday village. And if this housing development was given the green light, it would completely and utterly change the entire outlook of the place. Now, the part or all of that development was recently thrown out by the local council because it just wasn't suitable. Now, I can see that they'll come back with lesser numbers. Well, instead of 500 houses, can we have 300? So I don't think it's over yet. We'll have to see what happens. Andy Sav, our government are the terrorists. Changed my mind. I won't even try, Andy. I won't even try. Can anyone answer? I heard they're getting rid of council housing in the UK, a private company to run the bad ones. Declan, I don't know. Again, wouldn't surprise me. If anyone else has got any information on that, let me know. Let me know. I mean, the waiting list to try and get hold of one of the things has been crap for years anyway. Blue Angel, things are not good now. We used to be self-sufficient, not no more. Well, we used to, I know we had to import a lot of stuff, but when you're building on farmland and when you put too much regulation in and all it really is a problem, isn't it? Lee Dowman, has anyone looked at the childhood vaccine schedule and think it's okay? It is insane. If you're referring to the one I think you are, my basic premise with my children is over my dead body, basically. And I've maintained that all the way through. Stuart, I think we need more of an emphasis on local government now and not just Westminster. We constantly vote for the same local parties who spend money on unnecessary things. Yeah, more local government or a smaller, more accountable central government. I mean, if you look at Westminster, it's, Great Britain, United Kingdom. It's not the original idea anymore. It's all out of control and too much jobs for the boys, too much putting, Apple earpieces on expenses and too much crooked bullshit. It just needs stripping right back to basics, doesn't it? I certainly agree with your sentiment. Nigel the Handyman, if all the rich business owners are leaving the country, how much unemployment will there be? Frightening prospect, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is. They don't realise this, in their quest to redistribute wealth, in their quest to shuffle it all around. The rich will piss off, and then the people that are left behind are the ones with no jobs, who then become reliant on the state. Then the Conservatives get in, which I hope won't happen again, and someone else gets in. A whole cycle starts again, and we repeat this whole shit shower, don't we? It's no good. At least it gets rid of Charlie Murray. No, I won't say that. Read the papers. The Rod Stewart look-alike. Ian won the rot setting with John Major, and then Blair killed everything. Yeah, so at least the last, 30 years. At least the last 30 years. Maybe longer. We will be living in coves soon. We're going back to the 18th century. Everyone in rags and no food. It's supposed to be a modern age, really. Yeah, controlling everything we say, everything we do, and everything we have. They wish. Cosmic Water, even thought going around different cafes, ever thought of going around different cafes and reviewing their cabbie's breakfast? You know what? I don't have as many fry-ups as I used to. I'm trying to make a few changes, but it's not a bad idea, actually. Somebody else does it. Maybe I'll do it private members only. See how it gets on, and put it in the populace if it takes off. Nicholas Glanfield, I get the feeling Starmer has picked up where Blair has left off when he was PM. Well, I keep reading that Blair's sniffing around in the background as well as some kind of advisor, or at least giving his two pennyworth. I don't know whether that's true. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm watching Fox News now, and they're scrambling. So something bad definitely happened. Okay, well, that's a developing news story, isn't it, over there? We keep an eye on it. I know Maya Tusi is on it. There was a live stream that he did on it, and I saw something he put about CNN and Twitter before I came online. Jim Davis, Tories destroyed my career in 96. I then obtained another good career in 98 and 2005. Labour destroyed that career. I therefore hate both parties. There you go. Prime example there. They're no better off, are they? I mean, in 2009, 2010, when Labour shafted the country last time, I worked in IT. I had done for about 13 years. And if things worked out differently, I might still be working in IT. But I lost my job because the company I worked for at the time went bust because of certain things that happened because of the situation and the recession. It couldn't pay its bills. So therefore, we lost our jobs. I tried another couple of firms, even considered going and working in London, but nah. And I ended up cabbing. I've been doing it ever since, and obviously now this as well. And what happened to justice for fathers? I don't know, Cosmic War Toad. There bloody well should be some. Spudman, my wife left me with the kids while she went to be young again. Oh, Christ. She was working, and over 10 years, she never paid a penny towards the kids. Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? Awful. And I bet you try to get some as well. Yeah, we already saw that one, Jim. Sorry to repeat yourself, or me repeating you. Tony Whitworth, Mayor of London candidate, Cheyenne Batra, 15-minute cities. You won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. If you want food, you'll get a calorie control system sent to you by text. Well, I know what they can do with that. I control my own calories and my own destination. Lucy Wallace, cop caught 2 thieves nicking fireworks and batteries. They charge one and then we'll go. I'll tell you what, I'm going to steal some of these. Hi, Andy. Great. See, you got 100,000. Told you you'd do it. Great to hear. Thank you, Reform BBC. I appreciate it. Another great channel. Definitely likes giving the BBC a good kicking. Go and check him out. Taylor Swift has lost an estimated $150 million over the boycotting of her merchandise and memorabilia after she endorsed Kamala Harris for president. This is what these people don't get. When they, I've seen lots and lots of actors out of TV programs, some of which in another time I looked up to as a kid. You think, oh, they're great. And then you see how they behave and how they express their political views and what they come out with. You think, fucking hell, are they really like? And all of a sudden, those that liked them and adored them and bought their stuff and bought their gift, no, you're not what I thought you were. They need to be what they are. They need to be what they do to make their money, to make their life. And if they've got an opinion, by right, they're entitled to it. But surely they need to realise how and when they give that opinion, unless they're trying to influence everyone else. But it goes wrong, doesn't it? Tony Tasker, did they charge you for the plaque? Someone told me you have to pay. I don't know. As far as I'm aware, that no, they don't charge you. If that changes, I'll let you know. But I'm certainly going to get one. I think I bloody well earned it. Tony Whitworth, anyone ever heard of Ellie Reeves before her sister became Chancellor? She is now a minister without portfolio, a salary of $159,000. No heating worries for her. Jesus, no, I never heard of her, actually. And I'll have a little shifty at that when we're off the air. Couple more comments. Fed up Brit as a mum on the receiving end of the child maintenance. Ex was avoiding paying while off on fancy cruises with new wife and the free promotions. Did get some in the end, but they were useless. I'm sorry for your experience. I really am. And I hear stories like that as well, where they go the other end and they don't do anything, and then it can go the other extreme. We always hear the stories about dads, but mums have been pulled through the mire by those buggers as well. It's the whole thing needs ripping apart, really does. Ryan talks music. Hello, Ryan, my friend. Hope you're well, and all good to see you. And I hope your channel is picking up. Yeah, Ryan used to be Sanity Checkers, and he's kind of remodeled all of his stuff. So go check him out. Very good musician. Who's your number one person you follow, Andy? The Last Christian. If you're referring to news sources, I don't really have a number one. I follow a cross section, mainly YouTubers, really. You got Paz, you got Clown Worldwide T. You've got hello, a shooter was in the bushes with an AK-47 and high-powered scope, and the Secret Service spotted the front of the rifle sticking out of the bushes, and they engaged. Man taken into custody now. There you go. You heard it here first. So it sounds like a possible other attempt, but I'm sure more will come out. Ryan, I obviously follow. Then, Katie Hopkins, not everybody's cup of tea, but she makes me laugh. Jeff Taylor, Paul Thorpe, loads of people, absolutely loads of people. Maya Tusi, everybody that's away from the mainstream media, basically. I want to hear what they've got to say, because they have another or a more truthful viewpoint on what's going on in the big wide world. And I love that. That's what this is all about. That's why you've spent the last hour, 5 minutes and 2 seconds listening to a taxi driver sitting in his garage, listening to what it's all about. It's great stuff. Right, everybody. Thank you ever so much for joining me this evening for another live. I enjoyed that, getting together and chatting with you all. And I'm going to, get these running regularly every week again. I think that's 2 weeks in a row now. So that's great. Please, if you haven't done so, hit the like button on this. Helps it spread. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And obviously, if you've been about for a while, thank you, Tony. Please check that you are still subscribed, because I know every now and again YouTube kicks you off for some reason. And that's about it. Share me about. There'll be some more videos coming tomorrow, and obviously through the course of the week. And until next time, I look forward to talking to you again soon. Toodaloo. Taxi.